Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost Bunny podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Marquardt, with a brand new episode for you guys. And AJ and I had so much to talk about from last week that I've got AJ Barrera on again. Or actually, we just just kept talking. You
Right?
guys, we did 2 hours of content, probably a little bit more. And we were so excited to chat about all this stuff. And we're so excited to share about with you because we are going to talk about all the places that he's investigated, which we didn't get to do last week. So AJ, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much.
So the next thing I want to talk about is being a psychic detective, because that is so cool to me. And I don't know how much you can talk about all of that stuff, but just so the listeners know, and I know, you can work with like crimes, like if somebody's missing or if somebody was murdered and they can't find the body, or like you can't figure out the crime, like you can tap into some of that stuff.
Absolutely. So that's a very rigorous process. It's very exhausting, very draining. Not so much because it's like the case, it's like it's a long process. So people think like it's just 30 minutes and it's an hour session or this and that. You know, initially it happens like that, where a family will have a one-on-one with me. And I don't know who they want to link with. I don't know what the purpose is sitting in front of me. I don't want to know that stuff because I don't want to be influenced by any information. So I explain the process and how I work. And most of the time, I would say about 95% of the time, the person that they're hoping to link with would typically come through in that reading. When that information comes through, that seems a lot of like cold case investigative type of information. I deliver everything in it. It's recorded via Zoom. They have the video, the audio, and then they would take that to the detective of that department. If the detective chooses to work with a medium as like their last resource or the last tip, or they'll say, I'll just give it a try because the client wants it. It really just depends. I can tell you this, a lot of the bigger departments of enforcement don't want to claim they work with mediums and intuitives, which they do. They don't like to. They have to work with a sense of science and a sense of government operations rather than work in a sense of like woo-woo, if you will. You know what I mean? So for me, when I got into this work, I honestly wanted to be either a firefighter or be a detective before I started mediumship, and I actually started taking my classes at a JC. And so I started to go down that road, but it didn't happen because my career started at a young age of doing radio, medium, and so on and so forth. So years later, I think it was maybe a couple years after that, I did a reading for a client, probably when I was 20, 21 years old, and I was bringing through information. And so I started working with her over the telephone about this case, about her brother who passed on. And then the detective called me, and I was surprised because of my first experience working with a detective. And he said, hey, the family wants to work with you because you gave so much information. Most people don't know as well that I'm also an artist. I love painting, pastel, charcoal. So what I did is I started drawing what the suspects look like. And I'm pretty good at doing facial features, drawing what a person looks like, and actually drew them, put it all down. I put it in a long tube, send it off to the detective. There's specific things even I can't even talk about now because it's not public knowledge, that there's no way I would know about these two individuals, specific things about them, what they look like, markings and this and that, about the vehicle. I told them stuff about what the car was, the license plate of the vehicle. And again, none of this stuff is like, there's no way I should know this.
Yeah.
And I told them like, and for some reason, like I kept on seeing this individual submerged in water. I said, I know this sounds bizarre, but I'm going to describe to you how it all works. And I said, the water is not flowing. It's like still water. But I said, it's not a lake. It's not a pond, but it feels like it's still water. And so what happened, this was like maybe 4 years after that, all this information. There was about a year I was working on this case. And afterwards, it just went cold. Like I gave what I gave. There was nothing else that's going on. I really believe that detectives solve cases, not psychics and mediums. We're just a tool. I always joke around with people saying, I'm just a canine. I sniff out the information and it's up to them to kind of work with that information and get the rights for it and get the information to go search for it and the warrants and all that stuff. So for me, I'm just a canine. I'm just another tool in the tool belt when I do this. But usually the family sits with me, then I work with the law enforcement. But what I've noticed over the years, it's easier to work with the smaller departments rather than working with the larger departments because there's a lot of red tape. But years later, after that first case, they did find the body in like a ravine type of like that holds like water. When they were draining it, his body was still in the vehicle, and when they found him. So but there's been many cases that I worked on, and I try to stress to people like I don't solve cases. I just assist in them if law enforcement chooses to, the family chooses to, but I can never guarantee the outcome of anything, as any medium can never guarantee who's going to come through in a reading. So I always kind of put that cautionary out there, but I love what I do because I get to work with law enforcement as part of my passion. Still what I wanted to do like almost 20 years ago. And now I'm still doing it today. So it's kind of a full circle moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that police officers would be open-minded and receptive to that kind of information. Like, I feel like there would be a lot of pushback or a lot of people in that industry that might not want to work with somebody like you or, any kind of psychic medium. Um, but I feel like it's really cool when they like open up and are, receptive
It
to that.
is. Bridget, I mean, it is so crazy because like anytime I get to work with any retire, active, detective, again, I'm always privileged on that because like there's certain detectives that don't know how to work with a medium or a psychic in that point, and they just kind of think it's all wish-washy and this and that. But I think for me, of having a rapport with different departments and having a rapport with different detectives and having feedback and letters and this and that to kind of validate my work, not just saying that I just do it, like I truly
Yeah.
do it and I truly help in the best way that I can. But when I had a detective, pretty big department, can't say which one, uh, gave me a phone call and I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, like like I always thought I did something wrong. Like,
Oh,
did I do, like, are they mad? Like, what's going on? I was afraid to call them back. It took me almost a couple of days to call them back. And when they called me back, the detective said, honestly, I just want to kind of pick your brain on some of these cases. And I'm like, yeah. I go, went out there and went to go talk about some of these cases. And it was kind of like, how can I say this in a very weird way? It's kind of like a kid in candy shop, meaning like, they're allowing me to kind of be part of a process that is not normal to do. And for a detective wanting to pick my brain about everything of how I work, like most of the time they work analytically, like it's this or that, da da da,
yeah.
and they won't even tell me if I'm right or wrong. Like they don't tell
Yeah.
me any of that stuff. So it's kind of like I don't know if I'm right, don't know when I'm wrong. I'm just giving you all my information. But I've learned over my years how to work with them is how to manage, organize my information, and not just give them scattered information. I'm very specific with everything that comes through, and it has helped me out over the years. But when I get to work with anyone retired and active, or even with families, it's interesting because it really tells a story of that case evolving and stuff that, again, that I shouldn't know about that is coming through from source and energy. And I want to be clear on this too, because Bridget, most people think when I do this work that I'm actually talking to the spirit or the victim of that cold case. I'm absolutely not. What I'm tapping into is to a vibration, an energy, or an item of that victim. Because what I don't want to do is have that state of mind that that person is passed on. Because even though saying that I may know they're passed on, I don't want to work with that perception, that vibration. So I work on an intuitive psychic level rather than mediumship. So it's like tapping into a target, like remote viewing is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm going through that process of picking up the last events or things that happened or things that they did, their lifestyle and all that stuff. So it's called psychometry, where you hold onto an object and pull information from that object. It's basically what I'm tapping into. And I usually work from someone that's a family member if it's in person, but most time it's an item or a shoe or keys or a wallet. It could be something from that case. Yeah. It could be
Yeah.
morbid that sometimes, but very rarely we work with stuff like that.
That was actually my next question. Do you need a personal item from the family? So it's definitely very helpful.
Very, very helpful. Only in cases like that, but when it becomes like like a private reading, a one-on-one thing, I don't need that. Some mediums prefer that. I'm not one of those. For me, I just want to tap into the source of the energy when it comes missing persons, homicide, cold case. I want to work with a family and a personal item. A personal item does help. That's something that they wore. So their keys, their wallet, their shoes, whatever it is, a little braid, whatever it is, it's going to help me tap into that because I'm pulling from that vibration of that person, not so much of the person being dead or alive.
Yeah. Let's talk about the show that you had, From Beyond.
Oh, yes.
It's sort of, have you seen the Netflix show, Surviving Death?
No, I have not.
AJ, you gotta watch that show. It's so good.
Okay.
It's like I forget how many episodes it is, like 8 or something like that. And each one explores like different parts of the paranormal, kind of like near death experiences, or one will be
Oh,
about
wow.
like psychic mediums, and one will be about like each one has kind of like a different story, and then
Well,
they talk to different people in that. And it's so, so interesting. But your From Beyond show kind of reminded me like maybe it would be like a similar series to that.
yeah, it was like that was like I think in 2011 when we did that show, and it was kind of a random thing because I remember when I started going into that direction, I did not want to do any paranormal show. I absolutely
Oh,
said, "I'm not gonna do any paranormal." I put my foot down before anything, and it's kind of like God, the universe saying, "Hey, AJ," like, they waved this opportunity in front of me twice, and I said, "No, I'm not gonna do it." So I went in, said, "Okay, just not gonna do any readings, I'm not gonna do anything," and I was very firm. Told the production, "I'm not gonna do any readings. If you want a reading, here's my press kit, here's this, here's that." And so one thing happened is that they had me in, and then two of the producers or directors said, "Hey, I want you to." There's three of them there, but two of them said, "I want you to read for me." The other guy said, "No, he's not going to read for you." And they put me on spot as kind of one of the cast people. So they actually had a cast around me because they had other people in mind. And in that moment, we went to go shoot the pilot, and the pilot didn't fly with the other people that were there. So they had to kind of repurpose it with the network and this and that. And I did not know exactly how paranormal this show was going to be, but it kind of was really cool because we touched upon haunted locations, haunted homes, people, suicide, death, like all that tough stuff that wasn't talked about back then,
yeah,
which we were able to talk about. But it was a show that really kind of opened up people's perspective that there's something more in there that's not just always paranormal. It could be just be the pipes in your house. It could be the
right.
electrical box behind your bed. It could be rats or bats in your house. It could be many things, but I'm very skeptical in the process when I do this. I'm not always saying that's a ghost, that's a spirit. Like I'm really looking at things very rationally in a way saying like, it's just your piping. It's just the AC. It's just this. So for me, it's about really, again, educating people. And I had the opportunity with that show to really teach people not about just mediumship, but really how the paranormal really works.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the places you've investigated. You got to go to a place that I did not get to go to, and you can't go there anymore. And I'm so jealous. Tell me about Linda Vista Hospital.
Oh, okay. That's experience I talked about earlier that I was hoping we are going to get to
Yes,
in this podcast.
good.
Provoking. Okay. I don't even know where to start with this one. So I was filming From Beyond at the time. So we had camera crew, we had everyone there. And we went in there. So they hyped it all up. Oh, it's paranormal, a lot of activity, a lot of this, a lot of that. And went to Linda Vista. And I wasn't getting a lot of this bizarre energy, to be quite frank. It was just kind of like very, not calm, but eerie is the best word I want to use because I didn't feel like, I was feeling drained or exhausted. So we went through there with our equipment, our recorders, and this and that. And I think we may have caught like one or two EVPs. There wasn't really a lot of stuff that we actually were able to document throughout that episode, if I'm not mistaken. But at the point, I can see production was kind of like saying, okay, let's wrap it up. There's not much here. We already been recording for 12 hours, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or 16 hours. It was a long night. We didn't end up finishing wrapping till 3 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then still have to do pickups and all that, which you probably know, how
Yeah,
production works. It's just like,
yeah,
they're not easy days all the time. So we were doing that. And at the very end, I was in room 323, and this was a psych ward. And I kept on provoking. I said, "Come touch someone, come scratch someone, come scratch me," like just doing anything for anything to happen because nothing was really happening. So production was like, "All right, we're going to end this up here." So there's a camera guy behind me, just walking, shooting me. And then there's the camera people in front of me, this and that. And I typically always wear my cross when I'm out working, even sometimes when I'm at home. I wear it, just depending on the job. So I'm doing yard work. Obviously, I'm not going to be wearing ring, jewelry, and all that stuff. But wearing my cross, and I felt like, a little nick. And I thought like, I thought I caught a piece of my hair in my chain. And so didn't do anything. I just felt it just went like that. And then the camera guy, like minutes later, he goes, "AJ," he goes, "AJ." And I started feeling stinging. There was 3 welts that broke the back of my skin on my neck. And it just kind of appeared. And you see these welts just getting red and the skin blood bleeding out. And production started just freaking out like, "Oh my God," because I provoked. I asked, "Come scratch, come do this." And sure enough, and I was shocked because I've never in my life ever had anything like that happen. So for me, I thought, okay, like I'm not going to provoke ever again. So for me, when I go into investigations, that's what I'm saying. I don't provoke. I don't do this because I don't want anything to happen. And so when that moment happened here, that was kind of one of the biggest experiences to be physically touched and scratched without really even knowing it. I felt a stinging, but I did not know it was actually something paranormal until I saw that footage and saw the video. I'm like, oh, that looks bad. That looks, yeah. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. There is another time that I did get an event that happened here where I actually physically got touched in a chair where I literally jumped up on camera. This is actually on the show as well. This is some place in Rialto, California. And it was an old church. Can't remember the Christina something place. I can't remember, but there was moments like that. Again, I don't have a lot of moments like that. You would think I would as a medium. I think because I go into these places being very rational, very skeptical. I think it's great to be skeptical rather than being cynical, but skeptical is a great thing. But for me, I just go in there with an open mind again, seeing what's going to happen. But Linda Vista would probably say by far one of the creepiest and scariest experiences I've had.
Yeah. So many people have stories about that. And just so the listeners know, it was a hospital. It's in Boyle Heights, which is here in Los Angeles. And it's since been changed into like low income housing for senior citizens.
Yeah.
So that's why you can't investigate it anymore. But I've heard that those people do have experiences. I know somebody who actually went in and talked to somebody who lives there and was talking to them about their experiences. But it used to be open for investigations, and you would go with like and it also was big for filming in Los Angeles. So like my
Oh my
husband
God.
has
Yeah.
been there because he's filmed there for different things or different shows and stuff. And I'm like, you've been there. And you know what? I caught it right at the end when I finally like found somebody that like I thought could take me. They were with the Boyle Heights Paranormal Society. Or association or whatever
Oh,
they
yeah, yeah,
call
yeah. Yeah, I've heard of
themselves.
them. Yes.
So I contacted them, but it was right when the building was being sold, and it was like, maybe we can get you in one more time. And then obviously it just didn't end up happening. And I'm so bummed. The second spot on your list is also a place I haven't been. And I'm not so sure how I feel about it, but you can tell me. The Cecil.
Oh, the Cecil Hotel. It's
Yes.
now the Stay on Main. They may have changed it again,
Stay on Main. Yeah, it
but
was Stay on Main, but everybody knows it as the Cecil.
right,
They're not
exactly. I
fooling
mean, it still
anybody.
has a big Cecil Hotel on the bridge. Talk about
No.
rebranding, right?
I seriously feel like they thought, or we're going to make it Stay on Main and no one's going to know this is it. But it literally is printed in the old letters down the side of the whole building, the Cecil.
Right. Yeah, the Cecil Hotel was a great experience. Just walking in, honestly, it looks very grandiose. The elevators, the history of it, the stairway going up, the elevators. But you start moving from room to room, you can start seeing the remodel that happened, and then the remodel where it stopped. And a lot of the rooms that are there, we went into different levels, different floors. We started looking into all just different areas to film, to shoot content. And this was a couple years ago. We were doing a podcast that I had that we did, and we were staying in one of the rooms, and it was a main suite. The only reason why we booked it is that I think it was during the summer, and it was the only room in the whole hotel that actually had an AC unit. So we
Oh,
wanted to stay somewhere that had AC, and we stood there, and right above us were actually the towers. And you can hear the towers of the water opening and closing, like glunk, 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 glunk.
yeah.
So you have to think if anyone was staying even right below a couple floors, and if Elisa Lane was actually in that tower where it was stuck, there had to have been some issue or some sort of issue with the water, which a lot of people said the water was dirty, it smelled, and this and that. Like there had to have been some sort of alarm that happened here, but there really wasn't. But there was activity there when we were experiencing it. There was a lot of weird energy that did not even feel like it was residual. It felt like it was from like the people that were there, that were living, that they were bringing into it, because a lot of suicides happen, a lot of overdose. There's a lot of things that happen at that place. So you're going into a place that's very toxic, but you have to go in there grounded and protected. During that time, our producer, Wade Dennis, he did our engineering, producing, and all that stuff. And he wasn't a really big believer into this work. He worked in audio for years, and that's how I met him. I was doing a radio show, and he kind of worked with me on this. And he was like mocking Spirit, saying, "Down, Spirit, like dance, come on," like just mocking it. And during the investigation, EVPs are tools that we had. We didn't hear it with our naked ear, but we go back and play the audio, and it actually said his name, Wade. and he freaked out and he's like sent it out to everyone. He goes like, no. He started going through his audio engineering terms and started trying to analyze it like, and there's nothing on there. Like you can't see it, but you know it came from something. And so for him, he just couldn't figure out. So he knew this wasn't something or someone speaking or someone manipulating the voice. Like it was actually spirit's voice happening. The Cecil Hotel itself, I would highly recommend going into it because I think there's going to be a lot of personal experiences, but more importantly, if you can actually find time to document like the elevators, going up and down it, doing all the stuff, get access to it. We could have had access to the roof because unfortunately, the window was open to up the ladder and you can crawl up there. So it wasn't locked. But they do have cameras around. So that's one reason why we didn't want to do it because we didn't want to get kicked out. But
Yeah.
I can see how Elisa Lam got up to the roof at some point. Yeah.
Do you think the Elisa Lam story, so the footage and everything of her final night is super scary and it seems very paranormal and it seems like she's being chased by something and it seems like but do you think do you think it's more mental health? Because I think after watching all the documentaries and everything, it becomes pretty clear that it was more of a mental health issue that was going
Yep.
on. Do you think that's where
Yep.
what is happening? I mean, it does.
100% because, people go through these moments in mental health where they kind of have like psychosis and so on and so forth, where they just have some certain breakdowns. I think in the documentary, I don't remember specifically, but she was on meds. She wasn't taking her meds or she had to pick up her meds. There was some issue with that. And she was in the elevator. It looked like she was talking to someone. Like there was a lot of weird things that look weird, but I really believe, again, the place itself is haunted, but I don't think what happened to Elise Lam was anything paranormal. I do believe it was more so medication, mental health, things that she was going through, her not talking to the family, her writing on the vlog or the blog, all that stuff. So I think what she was going through was just more so a mental health situation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a sad situation of how she got there. But again, it was easy for us to access that. And I can see how she accessed that water tower or the roof. So again, if someone wanted to kind of go and do something like that, I can see why they did that, unfortunately, but hopefully there is better security and things that are a deterrent to get people from not trying to access the roof and the towers now.
Yeah. Yeah. So taking that whole case aside and then just the Cecil Hotel itself and its history, it's still, I believe, haunted, based on
Yeah.
and has like weird energy just based on all the other stuff. Taking that whole case out, all the other stuff that's happened there.
Mm-hmm.
Then the serial killers that have lived there, the murders
Yep.
that have happened in the building, like you said, the suicides, the overdoses, just the crazy history.
Yeah.
There must be like an intense energy in that building. I've
Oh
been
my God.
outside, but not inside.
You haven't? Okay. You should try just going in there, even if it means like just walking in there. Usually there is security at the front that will only allow you to so far to getting past that door or
Yeah.
that thresh. Last time we were there was again a couple years ago. But if you have the opportunity to do it, even staying the night, obviously, being in that area, it's dirt cheap to even stay the night there, even in the suite. And you will understand if people don't know where the Cecil Hotel, it's downtown LA near Skid Row or on Skid Row.
Yeah.
So it might be something to look into, but to investigate. Don't know how strict they are now, but honestly, like just being there, I guarantee you, Bridget, you're going to have a lot of personal experiences, feelings, impressions. I mean, I did as an intuitive, and I wasn't even going in there to be turned on energetically as a medium. It just was a natural thing. I was like, boom, 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 being hit. So for anyone that's not really a sensitive person, will probably pick up a lot of the impressions that are happening there. But there is a lot of haunting residual energy that is there, that is replaying there over and over again. But also it's part of the people that are staying there and
Yes.
living there. That's
Yeah.
creating that energy. Yeah.
Mm. Have you ever been, it's not quite across the street, but it's in that same area to the Alexandria?
Yes, yes. I don't know if we talked about it when we were doing the investigation at the poltergeist house, but we have maybe not.
I
But
don't think so.
there is, yeah, no, yeah, is it there where they have Rudolph Valentino's room
Yes.
at the very top, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So we went there to investigate, and at the very bottom, they actually have the tunnels to for Prohibition
Yeah.
that they have.
I
They
went
are
in those
blocked off
tunnels.
now,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah. So it's a really cool place. We went there years ago before they started doing the remodel. And it was so creepy just because it was so old and run down and this and that. But the energy there was really amazing. I'll tell you something, Bridget, and I've talked about this story a few times, not often because I don't do a lot of these opportunities to talk about the paranormal and stuff like that, which is obviously it's part of my life. I love it. But there was a point where we were investigating, I think it was around the 15th floor, and these elevators were so old and dingy. They had the gates that you open and close yourself to get in and ride up. And so when we were there, a friend of mine who was also an investigator, he and I were seeing this little girl in the hallway, and we're both talking this and that. I go, I don't know why she's here, like and this and that, and we're just talking. Her like, are you okay? And this and that, and all of a sudden, like the elevator next to us, like behind us, dings and comes up. And a lady walks out, and we look over and we're like, where's the girl? And we walk over, and it's a dead end. There's no way the girl could have ran anywhere. And it was actually a spirit child, a spirit energy that we both physically saw. So it's not just one person, it's two people that actually had this experience separately. And when this lady came out, she was like wondering what the heck we were looking at down the corner, some sort of energy. So for me, I do believe that place holds a lot of energy, but
Yeah.
also having the opportunity to even visit Rudolph Valentino's room, which is something pretty amazing, which I don't know if you have or not, or if you had the opportunity to actually
Yeah,
be there.
I've been in there. I question when he stayed there or when that was his suite.
Right.
I don't really
The
understand.
legitimacy of it, right?
Yeah, I'm not clear on that. So, but there definitely is a suite that is called the suite named after him, and it's decorated better than the rest of the hotel. And but yeah, it's called the Valentino Suite. And so, I mean, I'm taking their word for it, but I have not like looked into it to see like why he was staying there or because he had a home in LA. Like he had Falcon's Lair
Right.
over in Benedict Canyon. So like I mean, I know people have multiple homes in LA sometimes, especially if you're a celebrity and everything. So it's possible he had a suite that he stayed there. And also, he is one of the ghosts that are very active in Los Angeles. He's like a Marilyn Monroe or like
Yes.
Charlie Chaplin. There's a few ghosts in LA and Hollywood that are very busy.
Yes, it's so crazy because I always joke around with, Marilyn Monroe. I always say like, "God, I mean, her spirit must be tired. She's, like, everywhere," you know what I mean? People always wanna talk with her and this and that, but obviously there isn't a time and energy in the afterlife. I think it's more so for us wanting to, make that connection with them. Like, there is a place if you haven't had the opportunity, Bridget, or even your team or who even on your own, you can do it. The Highland Park, apartments, which is I can't remember what it's called now, but it was called the Lake something place. But it's where Janis Joplin had her apartment. It's room 105. I got to investigate that with the radio station. And the guy that was doing the radio show, he wasn't really believer in this work. He was kind of very skeptical. So he sent me there and film crew and this and that to investigate it, brought some of my tools and this and that. And we actually caught a very beautiful, clear EVP of of a voice that sound almost I want to say exactly like Janis Joplin that actually said Janice, the name. And so it was actually played on air. And they were like, this hasn't been touched up. There hasn't been anything done. Like, this is actually caught right here in the very moment. So they went to commercial break and so they replayed it. And even the guy goes like, oh, you guys are joking with me. You guys are joshing with me. I'm like, no, the crew was like, no, like this just happened right now. Like this is being filmed and this and that. So when you have moments like that, like Janis Joplin, she was, Bobby McGee, she played, all these beautiful records and she had a spunky spirit. She died, unfortunately, tragically of an overdose. But with her passing, she leaves this legacy behind that people still go there. And the room 105 is still decorated with all these poems and signatures and drawings and stuff like that. So you can go there and experience the energy. It's not anything creepy, but it's like, for me, it felt like nostalgia. It's kind of like, wow, this is like a place where she once lived and, the dedication, the legacy is still here. But I mean, there's a lot of cool places that we have all these dead celebrities that are still haunting the place that are still busy. And I joke around with that. But, anytime I get the opportunity to connect like with someone that is connected to someone who is recognized in the spirit realm like that, and they give me the opportunity to do it, I absolutely positively I'll take the opportunity because sometimes those are the best evidence of the paranormal because it's kind of like they still want to entertain from the afterlife.
I believe that. Yeah, it's why so many theaters are haunted.
Yes, yes,
They were
yes.
all entertainers and they still want that attention. But, the Janis Joplin, it's the Landmark Hotel.
The landmark, thank you. I totally
Yeah.
forgot I was spacing on that. Yes, yes.
I do that all the time. Um, what about the Hollywood Roosevelt?
Oh, yeah, I would say Marilyn Monroe. You know what I mean? That's kind of a popular one. You know what I mean? Like people go there, and honestly, like I think, and I mean this with all respect, even to her spirit and to anyone else. Like I think it's just overdone. To be quite frank, like people try to go there and investigate, and people try to stay in the room or the apartment, where she used to stay, and I think like it's just been kind of like high priced for that, especially during this time of frame, the season, and so on and so forth. Everyone wants to be part of it. I mean, there's a lot of things at the Roosevelt, like the children in the hallway, children playing. That is very, very canny, like very funny, because I really believe a lot of old places attract a lot of young children. So I kind of believe it goes hand in hand in that place. But the Roosevelt for me, I would say is pretty haunted because I've gone there also with another radio station to do something there. And we actually captured not so much Marilyn Monroe, just activity itself. I think when you have intelligent responses is what I look for rather than just,
Mhm.
oh, we had a meter go off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
actually asking specific questions and getting specific answers back through an Oculus or through the devices, or you're actually having communication. Like when you have that, you're working with some sort of vibration. More importantly, as just an individual, the energy in the room starts to shift and you
Yeah.
can feel it.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have that, I would say the Roosevelt is one of those places that I would say is to investigate, to have the opportunity to do it, and to do it when there's not seasonal, not Christmas, not Thanksgiving, not all this stuff, but it's always busy, crazy, packed. But if you find time to do it, I would say explore it and have your own personal experience. Because if you try to follow what other investigators have done, you might lose hope in that because like, oh, they captured all this and we went here, we didn't capture anything. So
Yeah.
kind of go in there with your own intention.
Yeah. Yeah, the Roosevelt is a place that I've been going to since before I even lived in LA. When I would come to LA, of course, I always wanted to stay in a haunted location. So it would be between the Roosevelt or like the Queen Mary or like, all the good places. And so I've been kind of investigating the Roosevelt for a really long time. And they used to really embrace it back in the day. Like they would have ghost tours and they had the mirror that supposedly Marilyn Monroe appears in, like right in
Yes,
the
yes,
elevator, like little room.
yes.
But since then they've had a renovation and they've taken the mirror away. I think it's up on the mezzanine level now. And they're not like so cool about it. But I feel like they're coming around a little bit, maybe, maybe.
It could be part of their marketing of like, oh, we got to like bring more people in. You know what I mean?
Maybe, but I actually did a wedding walkthrough there because Nick and I thought about getting married there because their lobby. Okay, even if you don't want to go there for ghost hunting, just go and check out their lobby and have a drink, and it's
Yes,
so beautiful. And if it's unlocked, go check out the ballroom because that's where the first Academy
yes.
Awards were, and it's just like so beautiful in there. So definitely check it out. But we did a wedding walkthrough there and I asked her, I'm like, what about like the ghosts and stuff like that? And she's like, we're not allowed to talk about it. And I was like, stop it. It's so haunted. Tell me ghost stories right now. And she's like, I'm not allowed to talk about it. But she was like, basically, yes, it is very haunted. And yes, I have stories, but zip.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's part of the marketing and branding. Like they have to keep it a certain style, a certain way. Like there's a lot of places that don't want to attach themselves to anything paranormal or stuff like that. Like I don't even think now they're starting to do it more so now is the Mission Inn in Riverside. They're promoting it more that they do paranormal, they're doing tours, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I don't think it's just because it's like October. I think it's really because like it's a marketing thing for them. It's branding to attach them and they find people more fascinated more so now than again 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think everyone wants to experience something or they want to see something and then when they don't, they get disappointed. But again, go in there and expect the unexpected when you do these things. But there's been many places like even including the Biltmore. I haven't gone there to investigate the
I
Biltmore.
have.
I gone there in their bar cocktail hour. I would say go there too as well. But it's
Yeah.
a great place as well to kind of enjoy the ballrooms and everything. There, it's a great
Gorgeous.
place. Again, it's a old LA history right there. You know what I mean? So you think of these places. I would say places to visit and have a cocktail, have a drink, and then just experience it. Plain and simple. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a slumber party at the, Biltmore and then went and investigated. They're another place that isn't, like, super cool with that. We were in, like, it wasn't a ballroom, it was more like I guess, a meeting room or something like that, and we had all the lights out, and for some reason, it was sort of set up like I'm sure it was set up for a business meeting, but in our eyes, it looked like it was set up for a funeral because it had, like, a walkway down the middle and, like chairs on both sides, and then it had like the table at the front, just looked like it was ready for like a coffin to be set up there and everything. And the lights were on low, but they were kind of like the candly lights, and so they were flickery. And we are like, oh my God, let's sit down and like do the spirit box and stuff like that right here. And this is so funny, AJ. So we sit down. First of all, this was me and Holly and our friend Ashley, and it was also um it was also um somebody who's in jail for murder right now, or for attempted murder, I should say. So we were sitting there and we were doing this whole thing, talking to the spirit box and everything. And we're sitting in the dark, just the lights flickering a little bit. And we have all the doors closed and everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody rips the doors open and says, "What are you guys doing in here?" And we screamed and we scared the shit out of him and he scared the shit out of us. But it was Biltmore security. And they were like, "You guys aren't allowed to do that in here." But it was so funny. It was so funny
Oh my gosh.
because we
Yeah,
were
when you
so
have
into it and
experiences
so
like that,
scared.
those are like the best memories, like, even if they're not really paranormal, they're just memories like that.
Yes, but then they were cool about it. They were like, "Yeah, we're not allowed to let you, like, do that or whatever," but he's like, "But there, like, is footage." There was, like, a candle, I guess, sitting on the, lobby the lobby check-in desk, and, there's, like, security footage, like, just the hotel footage or whatever of the candle just, like, sliding across the
Oh,
counter.
wow.
So that's cool. I guess they have that somewhere, but he's like, if you like, you could ask to see it, but I don't know if they'll show it to you, but it
Oh,
exists.
wow.
It
Wow.
exists. Okay, there's a couple other spots here. Um, oh, on your list, I see the place you were talking about, the Christina Dana Hendrickson Cultural Center in Rialto.
That one, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I captured quite a few evidence there. One of them specifically, I don't know if I still have the footage. I should have it. Upstairs is like a church. Well, it is a church, and the wooden steeples, the stage, the organ, and everything. So we use the stairwell as a trigger object, and we placed a ball there for her, for Christina. And we had a X camera on it, like a stationary camera on it, so in case anything happened, we had sensors and so on and so forth. So when we're up there, we know that there's no one in the room, in the building. It's locked up. It's just us. So we're doing our investigation and we're doing like an EVP run or something. You can hear us asking questions. And the ball, you can see it on camera, just boop, gets kicked off the stairs and hits the camera and it hits the sensors and the camera's shaking and this and that. And all of a sudden you can hear us like talking, what? Wait, that. And you can hear us all commotion. Like we look and the ball's gone and this and that. But it's kind of one of those moments where we can use certain trigger objects. But that's a place where I actually physically got touched there as well, where I literally flew out of my chair. That's again, a lot of EVPs, a lot of apparitions, even in the hallway. Some of the stuff we were able to debunk because, like, for me, again, I'm always looking at things like, is it lighting? Is it a shadow? Is it from the windows? Because there is stained glass at the place. So after we kind of debunk, okay, it's not stained glass. We have people go outside, use flashlights and stuff, and like, okay, it's not showing any reflection, this and that. And so we actually capture like things in the church as if people were walking up and down the aisles in the church. And we can physically see it like on, like with our eyes, but on camera, it actually looks like shadow people walking, like images. So for us to see it and kind of like, again, we're second guessing it, like, are we seeing this? So that's why
Yeah.
we kind of went out there to use lighting. And yeah, amazing place to capture evidence. I don't know if they allow you to go back in there. Again, a lot of these places that we're talking about, either they're still active, they allow you to go in there to investigate, or they don't want to be associated with it by any means. So it just
I
really
know.
depends. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. And sometimes they change. Like the Stanley used to be really into all the paranormal stuff and everything, and then now they're anti. And it's like,
Right.
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And same with the
Yeah.
Roosevelt, like it was and it wasn't. Now I hear maybe a little bit, but like not fully embraced. So it's like you never know. Biltmore isn't, but maybe they are now. I don't know. But
Right.
so it's all just kind of very weird. Okay, did you got to investigate at Hollywood Forever?
Yes. Oh my god. I mean, I've gone there probably plenty of times there. Plenty of times. And plus, I think it's probably one of the most iconic places to investigate because there are so many dead celebrities there. But it's not even just the dead celebrities. I think it's a lot of the residual energy of people going there, their intention to document the paranormal or something. But Hollywood, it's a Hollywood Forever Cemetery. I mean, why not go there? If I'm not mistaken, the Paramount Studios is right there too. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
or right behind it.
I think so. Yeah,
So
one of
you
them.
have a lot of that old energy that is there. But what I typically like to is go to most of the iconic people that are there. Now I try to like travel around to different areas that are like not just like say Forest Lawn where Michael Jackson's places and this and that. So it's really fine. Oh, your cat.
Sorry.
It wants to make an appearance.
Hi. Oh, wait. Go this way.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it's just figuring out like the iconic people that you feel you're gravitating to. So if it is like, you know, Liberace or whatever it is, Mae West and this and that, like you really want to go investigate it. I think I've done my best investigations, not really actually documenting the grave sites of celebrities. It's just going there to document the paranormal and actually capturing EVPs. And it could be just random people or random places in Hollywood Forever Cemetery that I'm asking questions and to get some of the clearest EVPs. There are times where I try to capture maybe certain people that are there with REM pods and this and that, and nothing happens, no EVPs. So again, you kind of like have to kind of like it's a hit and a miss type of thing. But Hollywood Forever Cemetery holds a special place in my heart. Even my wife has gone with me to Hollywood Forever to investigate. It's not because it's just she wants to be there. I think it's part of the history of Hollywood. Truly,
Yeah, it's a really cool place, and I love that they embrace so much stuff. Like they are cool, with like they do events at this cemetery. For those that might not know, I
yeah,
mean, I think most people probably know that they do these events, but they do like movies, and they play them on the
yeah,
mausoleum wall, and you just go and picnic and watch movies. And at Halloween time, they do all horror movies, so that's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And then you can rent out space in the cemetery for big parties and events. The whole
yeah.
mausoleum. I've been to like parties where corn is playing on the rooftop of the mausoleum, and inside the mausoleum, there's bars. Like at every end of the mausoleum, there's like bars set up, and like
That
you're
is crazy.
drinking and you're like watching corn perform, and you're like, what?
I love it.
But
I
I
love
see,
it.
and a lot of people might be like, wait, that's disrespectful to the dead, like, blah, blah. But I feel like it's really cool to have like to be buried somewhere to where people are still there and people
Yeah,
are instead of like a place where no one ever comes and it's quiet, nothing's happening. Maybe that's just a testament to my personality too. Like I would want to be
yeah,
somewhere where there's parties going on and events and people having fun and something
right,
always going on rather than just like, okay, is anybody ever going to come to this place?
right,
I'm not trying to
yeah.
rest peacefully.
Right, that is so funny. Bridge, I always tell people that the dead are more alive than we are, to be quite frank. And it's the honest truth because, like, you got to think, like, no one wants, like, no pun intended, like a dead cemetery. Like you don't want like everyone to be asleep, if you will. I mean, you have to understand like the physical body is just there. Like their soul and energy could be there, here, there in an instant.
Yeah.
So for me, I always tell people like, when I go, I want to make sure it's a party. I want to make sure people are still having a party and doing this. Like I wouldn't want it to be a quiet place because I think as we come into like cultural and religious views, we're taught to believe like let them rest in peace, don't bug them, and this and that, and all that stuff that goes along with it. But if under a very healthy understanding about mediumship and spirituality and so on and so forth, they're around us in the moments that we think about them. That's the
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
Well, and I always go back to that, and Scott Michaels is the first person that told me about it, but there's this, but I think that it goes back all the way to Egyptian times, but there's like a quote of saying you die two deaths. The first time is when your physical body dies, and the second time is the last time anybody ever says your name. And it's just stuck with me so much.
Well,
And I feel like that's why we talk about people. That's why we visit the cemeteries. That's why it's a way of keeping them alive when we say their names, when we are looking into their history, when we want to know about them. So I feel like when you look at it that way, it's very positive. Okay, the spot we've been waiting to talk about, the Queen Mary.
Queen Mary, oh, she has a special place in my heart, even to
Me
this day. Like,
too.
I can go back there and investigate it, Bridget, like, anytime, any moment in a heartbeat, especially if I have the time to do it. Most of the time, I don't have time to do investigations because I'm working with clients. I work from home. I do all my readings via Zoom after I'm done 6, 7 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I want to go out and spend another 8 hours investigating and then go back doing readings and stuff like that. But Queen Mary, God, I wish I would have prepared some audio or stuff like that because I have some amazing audio of EVPs, disembodied voices and stuff that I capture there. Probably one of the best hotspots to this day that I can say I know I am guaranteed EVPs, disembodied voices, any apparitions, and so on and so forth. I don't even know where to go with the Queen Mary. There's so much that I have, like so much evidence that I have with the Queen Mary. The what do you call them? The isolation ward, if I'm not mistaken, that they had there. There was a question that we're there doing an investigation, and we asked a question saying like, is anyone here? And nothing happened. Or I think the question was, how old are you? And it was a little boy with an accent saying, I'm only 7 years old. We have, again, Bridget, there's like so much from the Queen Mary. I can say like one of my favorite places, like amazing, and not a bad place to have brunch, cocktails, and go there for a view as well.
That's true too. Yeah,
We're not luscious. I swear we're not luscious.
well, when the bar is so pretty, like
Right.
you want to enjoy it. You can have non-alcoholic
Right.
too. But yeah, the observation bar there is gorgeous. And they used to have a really
Yes.
nice restaurant called Winston's.
Yes.
It is not a restaurant right now. I went in there, it was probably over a year ago now, but I went in there and it's nowhere near being a restaurant again. It was very
Really?
yeah. I mean, I think they want to bring it back eventually, but like it was just storage and like doesn't even look like it
Oh,
could be a
wow.
restaurant right now.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. Because they used to do brunch there on Sundays and stuff like that, and
Oh, well, no, I
dinners
think
and
they still do the brunch in the like Queen's suite or the Queen's
oh, do they?
ballroom or
Okay.
whatever. I think they still do the brunch. I think. Um,
Okay.
but the ballrooms, it's another place I did a wedding walkthrough because I was thinking about getting married there. Like I wanted somewhere cool and just like so glamorous and so,
It's
Hollywood and
beautiful.
it's beautiful. And I just get a feeling when a second I get on the Queen Mary, it's like a feeling of nostalgia. I don't know if it was a past life thing or what, but I just feel like I so belong there. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just I feel like a very, very like kinship with that ship.
Yeah. It's something like feeling like you're at home, like you belong there. I don't know how to describe it. It's the same thing. My wife and I have gone there, and we go there like to investigate, and it just feels like that yes, we've done it before, but it feels like that you belong here. Like we feel like this is where it's part of us. We're part of it, and we were fortunate. This was a couple years ago, so I can tell the story. I can't say the name, but we would go there quite often to the Queen Mary and be my wife and some other friends. And we go there with our equipment and this and that. And so for a while, I guess security recognized us going there every so often. And the security guard, like he said, oh, younger kid, maybe, not much older than us back then. So I think he was younger than us, forgive me. And so he asked, what are you guys doing? This and that. And oh, we're investigating the place and this and that. And so he goes, oh, really? So he started tagging along with us, like just exterior stuff like that's open. And then he goes like, my wife, she goes, my wife is very persuasive. She can sell like ice to Eskimos, I swear. And so my wife, she goes, does her thing, talks to him. She was like, I would really like to, like, whatever she said, she moved him. And he started opening up doors and places to us that I've never been access to. And I've investigated the Queen Mary a long time. And he ended up allowing us to go to the very bottom of the boat and where you actually go to all the stairwells and everything. And I mean, there's still water leakage and everything else that's in there. Some of the pools that you're not allowed to, first class and second class pool. The first class or second class pool is open. I think the first class is not. But or it's vice versa. But
Vice
there's
versa.
a lot of cool places that you can go into that he allowed us. And so we had like giving him money every time we would go because he would open up doors for us. I don't know if he got fired or if they found out
Oh,
because he
no.
was gone from doing his job from security because he was with us for several hours. But it was such a fun experience. And we are very thankful for that security guy because he allowed us in places that I've never even been to, heard of, or walked through, and to go there and do it. It was like really cool. Now there's a lot of things that are guarded, locked up, and everything now. Like you're lucky to get in certain places unless you sneak into. Which I'm not saying you guys should do it, but I'm just
No.
saying, just respect the properties, respect these places.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to tell you my fun story. So, it was shut down for the pandemic, and just when they were getting ready to start opening back up, like, everything was well, not everything, because everything still isn't all the way back up, but just as they were starting to like, they had reservations for that weekend, but I was there on, like, a Thursday. And I went there to do my podcast with them and to talk about how it's reopening and everything. And I really wanted to spend the night. And I was asking them if I could spend the night. And they were like, oh, no, 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 we're not letting anybody spend the night. We open on Friday and nobody's spending the night until then. I was so bummed because I really wanted the opportunity to be on that ship with nobody on there. And this would be the only time
Hmm.
to do that. And I was so jealous of some people got to go investigate during the pandemic and I didn't get to go on those. And so I really wanted to do this. And I'm talking to the general manager, I'm talking to the PR person. They're like, no, 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 we're not allowing anybody to spend the night. So then I get there and I'm doing my podcast. And after the podcast, I was like, I so wish you guys would have let me spend the night. Like, it'd be so amazing. Like, I just want to be on the ship all by myself and see what that feels like and everything. And they were like, oh, yeah, but nothing's open. Like, the restaurants aren't open. This isn't open. That isn't open. And everything. I was like, "Oh, I don't care about any of that stuff." And they were like, oh, you don't? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, well, you could stay then if you don't. We wanted to roll out the red carpet and like have like, the bar open and the restaurant open and like have you like really experience it as a nice hotel. And I was like, no, I want to like stay here. I don't even care if there's electricity. Like, I want to just be here. And they were like, you could spend the night. You could stay. Mind you, I did not bring anything but at this point. So I'm like postmating a toothbrush
Every
and like a, a bottle of wine because my mom was with me. And I was like, and dinner.
That's very, very important. The
Yeah.
bottle of wine.
And dinner. And so Holly was with me. We invited my friend Stacy came, my mom and I, and then as there was another person, there was other people on the ship. There was a lady who is head of housekeeping who was sleeping on the ship and she had keys to every nook and cranny of the ship. And she was like, let me know if you guys want to like go run around. We were like, yes, we do. She let us in to every nook and cranny of the ship
That is,
possible. We were in the pool. We were in like places, like you said, that you've never seen, didn't know existed. We were
yeah,
down in the bottom with the water leaking in. We were everywhere, everywhere. We
yeah.
were up in the projection room for the
Yes, yes.
ballroom. We were backstage in things. We were like climbing things, crawling through things.
Yeah.
Like we were everywhere on that ship. The other person that was there was a security guard who kept going, what are you guys doing here? Is it okay for you guys to be here? Like, I don't know what's happening. And so Holly ended up leaving at like 1 a.m. My friend Stacy left at like 3 a.m. And my mom and I spent the night in the royal suite.
Wow.
And it was incredible.
Wow.
Incredible.
Now that's an experience, Bridget. That is an experience to have. Like, I would have loved to have done that. Even I think during that time frame, I try to get into doing it and I couldn't get into stay the night or do anything for a couple hours. I mean, that would have been like a field day for any investigator. The fact that you got to do it is amazing. Yeah.
One of my top experiences for sure. But I've had, like I said, before I even moved to LA, I would stay at the haunted locations. And one of my first big kind of paranormal experiences outside of like personal stuff that happened that was family or whatever was on the Queen Mary. And I was walking with an ex and we were walking down the hall on B deck and we heard a noise behind us. And this is late at night, like probably midnight or whatever, because that's when I used to think you get in your pajamas and you go running around at midnight to like investigate. And we heard this noise that sounded like one of those big bouncy balls bouncing behind
Ooh.
us. And we both turned around and saw like a little boy go after a ball and like disappear into like a corridor. Cause you know how it's a long hallway, but then there's these little corridors where the rooms go. So we were like, that's weird. So we back up and we think it's going to be a corridor right there. There was no corridor. He went right through the wall.
Yeah.
And we were also, this was way, way, way back. So we were staying in one of the, on B deck in one of the inside cabins. So it means there's no windows,
Right.
and no doors. So I'm just kidding. No windows. And, so we were like making a big deal about whether we keep the light on or off because it's so dark in there. And I think we were like, this story could go either way, whether we were doing it on or off, because I just can't remember. But let's just say we were leaving the lights on every time we left on purpose because it's so dark in that room. And every time we'd come back, the lights would be off. And then one time, this happened like 3 or 4 times. And then the next time we like made a big deal about it. Like if there's something here, like turn the lights off or whatever. And the next time we came back and it stayed on. And so then we were like asking and in the middle of the night, the TV popped on its own. And so the next day
Oh,
I saw
wow.
housekeeping and I was like, hey, are the, lights on like a timer or like if there's no movement, they go off kind of thing or something. She was like, no, you're on B deck and it's the most haunted deck. That just happened. And we're like, oh, also when we were by ourselves, the housekeeping lady, she was like, there's this one room that, she was like, oh, do you want to see our ADA room? Because in order to reopen, we had to make sure that we had some ADA accessible rooms. Do you want to see it? And we're like, yeah, why not? We're walking right past it. So she opens it up and she couldn't even get the door open because furniture had moved behind the door. And she's like, oh, this stuff happens all the time. Like this room was just
Wow.
completely made up and done because they had like the city council member come to like approve it and everything. And she's like, and now the stool was behind the door and the bedding was lifted up. And she's like, we deal with this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was, if it's the same room, I think it was, like, the most haunted room, if I'm not mistaken, the one that you're
That's
talking about?
B340. So that's a different room. It's not the most
Okay.
haunted room, but B340 used to have like the bed making thing happen.
Okay, yeah, because I've heard a lot of stories about one of the rooms that were there that a lot of the furniture would move and so on and so forth. I know they closed up some of these rooms up for certain reasons and they reopened them. And so for those experiences to happen, especially like with housekeeping where they're kind of like, oh, that's normal. Like, I think it's super cool that they're really
Me
just cool with
too.
it. Like they can't do anything now. This is part of the process. We live with them rather than they live with us. Like, I love it because I think it takes a lot energetically, emotionally, mentally to work in a place like that and knowing that there's people not only physically but in the actual life watching you and with you and letting you know that they're around you, like all that stuff is pretty cool. Like again, for you to have a field day like that during the pandemic, and I think that's pretty damn amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this housekeeper, she did tell us that she does have trouble keeping housekeepers a lot of times. That there's been people who like will experience something and then they'll be out the car calling, going, I'm not coming back in. Like not doing that.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, but AJ, I know I need to let you go. I mean, I could talk for another hour with you, but I
Likewise.
feel so bad keeping you this long, so I'm gonna let you go reluctantly. Maybe we just have to like go on investigations together and do it more.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely, for sure.
yeah, but thank you so much for coming in and sharing all your stories and everything with us. Tell everyone listening how they can follow you on social media, book a reading, hire you for an event, whatever, all your things.
Absolutely. If you guys ever want to come to my live events, you can go to ajbarrera.com/new events or just ajbarrera.com. If you follow me on social media, TikTok or Instagram, it's AJ_Barrera. Please be aware, I always have to put out there of fake imposter accounts. There's many of them on TikTok and Instagram that will send you direct messages asking for money and all that stuff. That is not me. All appointments are booked at my office at ajbarrera.com or through my website at ajbarrera.com. All the information is listed there. But I want to thank you, Bridget, for allowing me to be part of your podcast and allow me to be part of this friendship. Honestly, like I'm glad we met in person. I'm glad we reconnected this way, and I hope to do some future work with you and future investigations. And let's plan a Queen Mary night after the Halloween time. That would be
Let's
fun.
do it. Yeah, after Halloween. Let's let all that die down.
Right.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Ghost Bunny podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on my spooky adventures, and I look forward to sharing a new ghost story with you each week. Please subscribe to my podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is out, and follow me on social media at Ghost Bunny Podcast on Instagram, at Ghost Bunny Podcast on YouTube. That's the video version of the podcast. And of course, at Bridget Marcourt on Instagram as well. Oh, and I also have a Patreon, and I am so sorry, you guys. I've been so bad about posting. Maybe AJ has some stuff I can post that's related to this episode on there, some extra
Yeah.
content for
Oh,
them.
that would be
Okay.
great. Yes.
That
That's a great idea. We'll talk. Yeah.
okay, amazing. Yay. Bye guys.
Bye.